Oh shoot, it does its own thing, bro. I didn't tell it to start. I didn't tell it to. I didn't press the button. Honesty, I didn't. Don't believe me, but it isn't my choice anyway, so who cares, bro? Welcome back to one of the noisiest towns in Utah County. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. In the Image Clothing Company, our 5-word company name, and I am here. Let's just get to where you can see me a little bit more than you couldn't. Wow, what a thing to say. So, yeah, today is the 20th of July, 2026, in the Image Clothing Company's main site here. Welcome. Okay, another date-marked documentation. What are we, who are we, why are we in the Image Clothing Company? Our 5-word company name. Clothing, the literal wording of anything physically placed on the body. Anything physically placed on the body. Glasses, hats, shoes, socks, tops, pants, undergarments, whatever it could be. I place this little piece of wood on my shoulder and I'm clothing my shoulder with it. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? Just measurable mathematical degrees of hinges, levers, and rotations determined by the shape and length of our individual bones. Our individual bones, but the thing is they grow the same within this universal human design, designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. Here's your clothing company. Okay, so yeah, shoelaces, right? This video's titled, though, the 20th of July, 2026, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. We lift the shoe off the ground every step we take, okay? Yeah, it's noisy here. It is. Okay, so In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, okay, one of the things we discuss often under In the Image Clothing Company, because, you know, the top of the feet are only the shape that they are. We discussed this. There's a lot of bones in the feet, gripping arches inward, different length, 5 toes, a lot of function. Pronation, supination, internal rotation, external rotation, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. All the stabilization for the entire body happens first at our foundation in these 2 feet. Opposing the center line of our human bodies at our foundation are these feet that grip arches inward to support our human flesh. Okay, Earth's vertical gravity pull is right between these 2 feet. But every time we take a step, okay, we have this video's title under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company on the 20th of July, 2026 happening, which is, we lift the shoe off the ground every step we take. And now we've discussed this, you know, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. We don't own it. You can't own a weave of a rope. But, you know, there's only one way you'll weave a rope across the top of your feet. Bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles. Okay? To not alter the feet. You know, we've got a lot of videos under In the Image Clothing Company's main site. Currently, as of today's date, the 20th of July, 2026. Yeah, talking about the feet, talking about shoelaces, talking about socks, talking about shoes, requirements in these things to not alter the human being. But, you know, these shoes are good to show this with. This is In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. Found it wherever you find it, but you'll see it in this video to the degree that you can. Look up our 5-word company name, no spaces between the 5 words, In the Image Clothing Company, and you can find how to tie a rope across the top of your feet in a weave pattern to not do anything besides cinch the upper of your shoe nice and snug around the top of the bones of your feet. There's only one way it happens. The body grows by itself. The bones are just the shape and length that they are. They connect directly to each other through ligaments, and they can only ever possibly do just what they do. And nothing else. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. No possible opinion to it, but we get into chronic patterning, which we show how to rid very clearly here under In the Image Clothing Company's main site, specific one of our fourths to us as In the Image Clothing Company. But let me show you this. right? Every step we take within the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique done to shoes, aka just weaving a rope across the top of the feet, the shape the top of the feet are shaped. I mean, we don't get anything from it other than maybe, I guess, yes, advertisement for our 5-word company name. If you lace and tie your shoes, the only way your feet bones connect. Okay, truth is truth. We're just here to change lives under In the Image Clothing Company. But, you know, here we go. You know, I can lift my foot up and, you know, essentially independently of my shoe, well, not even just essentially in this case. Here we go. I'm lifting my foot up off of Earth's vertical gravity pull. But if I have this man-made thing, which can be wonderful, we call a shoe, to protect my foot, the top of the shoe has to be shaped the way the top of the foot is, because we're just lifting the foot up off of Earth's vertical gravity pull, and whatever we place on top of the foot just has to be the shape the top of the foot is shaped because of Earth's vertical gravity pull. It comes down and meshes with the horizontal surface in this 90-degree right angle. Okay, the Earth's surface, horizontal, the Earth's vertical gravity pull is vertical. So today's the 20th of July, 2026. This is In the Image Clothing Company's main site, a video date-marked permanent piece of truth documentation on the human beings only functioning. You know, and here comes some people. So let's wait for just a second here. But the video's title is, we lift the shoe off the ground every step we take. Now I'm going to show you with this shoe, but here's some more people. Okay. This is a good shoe to show this with, alright, because of the laces and how there's only 3 eyelets on either side, or holes, right, where the shoelace goes through, which shoelaces are just ropes. Okay. Watch this. I mean, if I just lift my foot straight up, okay, like straight vertical, there's still the neutral ankle, there's still just all the bones on the top of the feet, the only shape that they are. Okay? But if I place something on top of my foot, I have to be able to just lift this foot up off of Earth's vertical gravity pull, the exact same while lifting a shoe off the ground as well, you know, by the top of the shoe, which is determined by the rope we use to weave across the top of the foot to hold the shoe on. Call it a shoelace, it's just a rope. Okay, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, look at this, I could just lift my foot up straight off the ground. And it's the same shape on the upper of the shoe, where the rope is weaved, as if I didn't have a shoe on my foot. Alright, just the bones in the feet that don't change once we're full grown. Alright, so there's only one way the human body could ever work, but watch this. You know, these shoes, like I said, are good to show the visual with because, I mean, let's say, you know, the shoe's just like loosely hanging on my foot. If I just have my foot relaxed and it's neutral in all its motion, internal rotation, external rotation, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, pronation, and supination, gravity just pulls the foot into its neutral position, just like the wrist and the hand. Gravity. There is no possible opinion to how the human being works. There's only one way it ever could. We discussed it extremely thoroughly in such depth you couldn't possibly dispute the mathematical truth of it. Here, under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, this video today, on the 20th of July, 2026, spoken by me, Evan Strong, the founder and leader for life of In the Image Clothing Company, is titled, We Lift the Shoe Off the Ground Every Step We Take. Okay, so the top of the shoe, well, yeah, I mean, I can just have my foot dangle and relax with Earth's vertical gravity pull just hanging on it. All the bones connecting directly to each other through ligaments, the only shape and length the bones of the human being are in this universal human design. And the muscles just connecting to these bones to do nothing but pull, with opposing muscles doing all the opposing functions to stabilize us in a neutral position in the entire human being. Anyway, just relaxed, right? The only way the body could ever possibly work. without ceasing to be what it is, or maybe like a surgical procedure to change it. Anyway, yikes. We can just tighten the shoelace or the rope across the top of the foot within the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique being done, just the only way the top of the foot is shaped. And now it's cinched up nice and tight, and my foot's still just as relaxed. You know, I mean, you weave a certain pattern of rope, meaning anything that's not just going to mesh with the only way the bones of the feet are shaped, across the top of the foot, and it'll just change the way the foot even just dangles, if you will, hangs there relaxed on Earth's vertical gravity pull. But now my shoe's nice and snug. Like, it's very snugly tied around my foot, and my ankle and my foot and my whole leg's just as relaxed. Other than just the weight of the shoe that's minimal in these nice light shoes here, my ankle is still as neutral. It's still as relaxed as if I didn't have a shoe, other than just the weight of the shoe. But the weave of the rope across the top of the foot, which we're lifting the shoe up off the ground with every step we take, okay? Every step we take, we lift the shoe up off the ground with the foot. This video's title, the 22nd of July, -2, it's the 20th. Wow, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, we lift the shoe off the ground every step we take. You know, we do. We lift shoes off the ground every step we take. So the point is, yeah, I mean, just be very intentional with shoe lacing and tying. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, we discuss very clearly how to do it. You can see it in this video to the degree that you can. If I remember as I cut this video, when I come up closer to the camera here, I'll show the top of my feet here so you can see how you can weave a rope across the top of the mechanics of the feet, bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles without damaging them. There's only one way you can do it. It's just physics, truly. We abide by universal laws as human beings that are outside of all of us. Gravity, it's vertical pull, you know, but just physics in any form, just motion, this body just being a machine of motion or a mechanical machine. Anything we choose to do the literal word of clothe the body with, it has to be very intentional. You know, clothing has to just fit properly. We discuss it very clearly. We've got well over 600 videos as of today's date, the 20th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main side here alone as one of our fourths, with our slogan being allowing the body to work. I've discussed this, but I've never actually made a video quite like this yet until this one. Now I have, discussing the train horn in this exact way. No, not quite until now. But also, you know, I've never really shown it quite like this, how, yeah, I mean, you should be able to lift your foot up and it's just relaxed. But the thing is, nothing about the design of the shoe will be able to potentially alter your foot on the top of it the way that shoelaces could, or to the degree that shoelaces or just these ropes we weave across the top of the feet could. The bottom of the feet is half their function, okay? That's plantar flexion, or pointing the foot down, but it's the sole of the shoe. Shout out to the train horn, okay? Zero drop. Determine any brand of shoe, just meaning flat on the bottom. But as much as we focus on the bottom of the shoe, those that do, a lot of people don't really ever even know, which is fine. You don't know what you don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know in any of our cases. But to focus on the top of the shoe, it's half the function. You can only put the foot down after you've lifted it up to step forward to put it down again. And so half of the foot's function is completely, entirely determined by the top of the shoe. If we're talking about the half of either lifting the foot up, dorsiflexion, or pointing the foot down, plantar flexion. So anyway, yeah, I mean, you can just nicely relaxedly dangle your foot, and the shoe's just sitting on the top of it. If the weave of the rope across the top of the foot is the same shape as the top of the foot. You know, and this is just walking, and then you could talk about being more athletic. Maybe you play in sports, you know, like kicking a ball. You're kicking the ball with the laces of the shoe, the top of the foot. You know, I've played a lot of soccer, American soccer, right, in my life. That's the sport that I played the most throughout my life, personally. And I'm saying that because, you know, you have a soccer ball, or even, you know, other balls that you play with your feet, football, you know, American football, or whatever else it could be, kickball even, sure, anything really, even martial arts though, you're kicking, you know, with the top of your foot, you use your laces. I mean, I've heard that so much in soccer, they say that so often, like, kick with your laces, meaning this big flat part of the top of your foot where all these bones are. Well, that's the shoelace technique. When they say kick with your laces, they mean kick with your shoelaces. But it's just a weave of a rope. And so if it's not shaped, the only way the bones in the top of the feet are shaped, with different length 5 toes all just coming neutral from essentially the knee down to the toes, you know, then, you know, lifting your foot up is one thing, because you're also lifting the entire shoe up. This video's title, hear me out, the 20th of July, 2026, under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, we lift the shoe off the ground every step we take. But then not only just lifting the shoe up, but now if you were to kick something like a ball, for example, let's say you're playing American soccer, right? Or any sport, or just kicking, what else do you kick besides being like a martial artist, really? Right? Sure. All the pressure and all the force going into that kick is being led by the top of the shoe. Okay? So, there's no opinion to it. In the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, it's the only way the top of the feet are shaped. One of the things for sure, I mean, one of the couple things, you know, 2 or 3 things that founded In The Image Clothing Company, through me, if you will, Evan Strong, the leader for life of In The Image Clothing Company. And so I just wanted to show a visual here. I like to do the visual example series, but I also just like to discuss things thoroughly. I like you to be able to see what I'm saying, so I don't just say something and sound like I have some claim. You can do it yourself, you know, you can get out a measuring tape and measure the motion to the body. It's just a mechanical machine. It only could ever possibly do what it does. So we discussed the anatomy of the human body in such depth here under In The Image Clothing Company, so that you couldn't possibly question the validity of the information. Because we don't get to decide or change truth, and there's only one way the bones of the body grow by themselves. This design of God's. So anyway, there's people coming to play pickleball. I can hear the sound. I'll wrap this up. Thank you. Okay, check out the other 3 sides of In The Image Clothing Company if you'd like to. In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, In The Image Clothing Company Podcast, In The Image Clothing Company Music, and then here you are under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. We're on episode 210 of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast as of today's date, the 20th of July, 2026. I'll give you a close-up look here through this airplane noise of my shoes laced and tied correct with In The Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, but there you go. We'll always have good clothing available to not alter the body, right? We give a lot of free modifications in clothing to not alter the body. There's just a lot of clothing imbalances shipped across the entire earth in modern 2026 that are basically universal imbalances that we just couldn't have possibly happened in the past, because we didn't have the technology for them to be shipped across the earth like that. But also, we just didn't have robots that stitched our clothing, we do nowadays. A lot of other things, you know, stretching clothing that didn't exist just a little while ago, tens of years ago, from 2026 and around this time. Tags in clothing that need to be removed if they're ever there. We discuss a lot of things, but In The Image Clothing Company shoelace technique is our literal, like, physical foundation at the baseline of our bodies. Before we could ever travel up, you gotta not have alteration to your feet. If there's anything you can do about it, we have to get as close as we can to this universal human design in all of our own individualistic situations, because Earth's a vertical gravity pull, if nothing else, and we discuss a lot of other things. So thank you, In The Image Clothing Company. And specifically, in this video, one thing to focus on, In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. Okay, thank you.